Greetings, little pigeons. It is a pleasure to finally be able to talk to you in person. Our sojourners, it has been a most interesting show so far. Their suffering amuses me to no end. I'll let you in on a memory from a time long forgotten. After all, don't we love a good story? Once upon a time.
I'm not a writer, but as an artist, I try my best to be honest. It's like archery. The bow is the brush, the arrow is the painting, and the target is the audience. Or a language of its own. The words have to be clear and concise, and maybe sometimes they have to be beautiful. I moved here less than a month ago. At first, I wanted to study fine arts. Then my parents were worried about my future. I gazed at psychology, architecture, even pharmacy. And none of these majors caught my interest. I had to settle for design. I wasn't sure what I was expecting. It's only been a month, but it's not just a passion dwindling. People just don't see art the way I do. I'm happy they can appreciate it, but it's just not the same. I've tried getting along, but going so far out of my comfort zone makes me feel like I'm someone I'm not. I guess it just takes time. Maybe it's the culture shock, or maybe everyone's just better at hiding their confusion than I am. Maybe I'm just insufferable, but it doesn't feel like I belong in the same box everyone is in. The joys and sorrows they feel are from things that I could never relate to. I should have settled for fine arts, but it probably had its own set of problems, and I've made my choice anyway. The city is a nightmare, a dull collection of concrete monoliths, glass towers, and steel behemoths. Sunsets covered by smoke from cars and motorcycles. But the park, it was a breath of fresh air, especially amidst all the air pollution. The park itself is empty and only populated by crows. There's an abandoned playground with rusted swings and slides. Also a weeping fig at the corner of the park, a symbol of nature's persistence to still grow amidst all of our attempts to undermine it. To me, it was home, and the birds made better friends than my colleagues. I was feeding the crows until I noticed something strange by the tree. A book resting on its roots, taking shape beneath the fig. It looked worn down, but its contents were handwritten and filled with cryptic notes. Warnings. The first page was a retelling of how someone entered a world beyond their understanding. To me, it looked like a set of instructions. Looked like a bunch of hogwash, but even if it worked, it's not like I had much faith in the world that I'm living in. It just seemed less boring than this godforsaken city. But I wasn't in the mood to try it out. I still brought the book home. Wasn't a bad read, especially for a book I randomly found in an abandoned park. While it was mostly do's and don'ts, it left my imagination wondering what could have happened to warrant these. It made me think if I'd be happier in a life like this. Art lies, but it makes us see the truth. But if I were to go now, what about the family I've still made here? What about the dangers in my new life once I walk past that door? What if I chose to stay? And I'll slowly work my way through all my problems. Besides, would it have even worked? So I went back to the park, and I followed the instructions. As I recited the verses to begin my departure, time slowed down to a halt, and all the colors of my world faded, leaving a monochrome shadow of what was. All that's left is the gates to the unknown, standing in my way. The city I once knew and the obligations that once plagued me were behind me, and I could never go back. It's a shame. The stars were beautiful tonight.
Greetings, little pigeon. I'm very happy that my package has found you well, and that you have chosen wisely. You've entered the very foundations the collective unconscious stands upon. Soon you will categorize, taxonomize, and classify these events to suit your understanding. And the way you perceive the world will soon follow your limited senses. Doors, gateways, trees, buildings, birds, near symbols. Art is a lie to make you see the truth. Find the truth. You will not die here, but you shall suffer ad infinitum. This is the way of fate. But your courage to face the abyss should be a great weapon in your journey. But it also appears that you did not come here out of bravery. You are here to escape from a world you rejected, so you ran straight into the unknown. Perhaps I overestimated you, or perhaps I knew all along, and wanted you to realize that there's no paradise here. Your pain might be very amusing to watch. And I will be watching very closely. Until then, little pigeon. Silly thing. She was never here for a respectable reason. Escaping from the pains of her ordinary life into a world where its laws are hostile to her very existence. My, such an interesting specimen. Well, it appears that my time is running out here. Until we meet again, little pigeons.